I'm going to go through anteriors. And I know we haven't even done thoracics yet, but I'm going to start with the anteriors. Because there's so many different ways that people do it, very few of them are very honoring, okay? I've had people literally grab both sides of the table, or it felt like both sides, hand under me, and then one side of the table, and pull me to the table, crushing my thoracics, bringing my arms together. I'm a little tight in my upper thoracics, squeezing my elbows together, and so in their mind, moving the scapula out of the way, but my muscles get so tense, and then just jamming with all their weight in my spine. Anteriors aren't really taught very well in many places. Once we start learning really adjusting at ease, and when the body's relaxed and more honoring, Arno showed us these. I'm going through a lot of MLS stuff because it's just so valuable, okay? But when we're talking about adjusting the vertebra anterior, what we're really doing is the spinous has dipped forward. It's bilateral and posterior at the upper part of where we see like the top facet. We're really looking at something like this, where it's gone down, okay? We're I don't know where they actually get anterior from. I haven't even really thought about it, but that you dip down like this, okay? So what we do, our contact points are just above that, right? Because the spinous is here, transverse processes go up a level. They're right at about the space of where the spinous process is above it. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. So I picked 2 points. For me, how do I do it? I'm adjusting like this, okay? So I have a point here and a point here usually. I could modify that, open my hand, close it. Sometimes I take a spot out here for people that might have bigger spinuses. You can feel it. Using your spine model though, and visualizing and seeing that spinous transverse process. How am I going to move that? After this, I'll show you a single hand prone move, okay? You probably learned something similar in school, but where we come under the spinous and adjust single hand, okay? But for the anterior purposes, I have these boards, all right? This is an SOT cranial board, but what I do, because almost every time they fall right about in the gap or what have you, so a pad just really works for a solid surface. So I have my contact points, I'm contacting the transverse processes. I usually have them just slouch where they're at ease and their body just relax a little bit. And then we come back together. What I do is I have their shoulders here. I'm just finding a point of ease where they actually relax, and I just have a light impulse, and you'll feel that just fall right into place. Sometimes you have to adjust the head. I adjusted Adam a very low thoracic the other day, anterior, and what I had to do for him to hold him, matter of fact, I think the first person I saw do this was Jake Kamarick, and he had a beautiful anterior. He did it on me. I had a lower thoracic contact. I held his head here, okay, and I held his body a little bit more in flexion, and then we just came back, and I still held him, and I felt that vertebra just move right under my hand beautifully, okay, and then I did help him back up this way. I didn't lean him all the way back, because just holding him, his vertebra was just presented right in that spot. It just needed that little bit of force. For him to go all the way back would be a waste of energy, really. It wouldn't have hurt him in any way, but I just didn't need to do all that. I came right to about right here, and it adjusted, and I came right back up. So, like I said, I've seen a lot of dramatic, and I'm sure they work on certain people. For me, that's just less than honoring. And that part of my thoracic spine, my upper thoracics especially, gets very, very tight. And when they make it tighter this way and then jam it into it, it just feels like I'm trapped. It almost feels like I get anxiety from it. So if I'm getting it, other people must as well. So first thing is, I like to have an adjustable table. Elevation tables work well for me. That one is not elevation over there. Still one of my favorite tables. I love them all. I can't help it. But that way, if someone's a little smaller, their feet can be touching the floor, okay? So if their feet are on the floor, they're more at ease. They're supporting part of their body weight. If they're up in the air, a lot more of their pelvis will come back. Their low backs will round out a little bit more. Once you get used to it, you can still get around that if you're, just getting the job done. Sometimes, and occasionally this is it, and I have a couple of people that I do this with, is after that, while they're supine, I just roll them to the side. I find my contact point and just bring them back over and just a light impulse, okay? So it just takes a little practice doing that. You really need to know your segments well. You know where to adjust that person. It's usually someone you've adjusted more than once, and you really know you've learned their vertebra better than some others. Because each day is a learning experience with the vertebra that you're adjusting. They're not just backbones, and they're not just bodies, they're human beings. So they go through different things in life. Sometimes what you really eventually get is to learn their patterns and how to adjust it. You see what I mean? So let's start with you. If you'd like, just sit right here on the edge. So I found it. Feel that? Is that a little sensitive when I touch it? So just bring your arm up. Just let it just fall normally. Don't force it, but just let it be at ease, okay? And sometimes I do this just to show them what we're doing. So take a deep breath. We'll do it together. Let's do this one. You see how much easier that second one was? The first one, you had to pull that air in. Did you guys see that? So that's a subluxated vertebra. I have her right here. Now when she's going back, if I'm up here, what am I doing? I'm losing that contact point. It's going to rotate. So what I am is right on that contact point. I do come down and let my arm just dial in with her. Feel that? Just let your head fall back. And I'm going to move your shoulders right to there. One more. That was it. Look at that. Now you just had to breathe after that.
Yeah.
What was your feedback on that? Was at
It
ease?
was good, yeah. I felt relaxed going down.
And
What?
your contact didn't move at all. Like I've seen a lot of docs do that, and they always start at one place and end up somewhere completely different.
Exactly right. You see
Yeah,
that all the
I see
time.
that a lot.
Let's just do it on
Do you
everyone
think
so you can
works
feel it.
this?
Hmm?
Like, does that help you?
It does, because it's a lot harder than this is soft. And usually we end up over in the crack and my hands in the middle. And sometimes I do it and I'm in a rush and I don't like rushing. And I just say, let me just stop, let's back up, let's get the thing. This does help me for my tables. If I had just a bench, I might not use it as much. But look at the difference on padding on that thing compared to this one, right? You don't need that much. It doesn't have to be very hard. But let's see, just have a seat right here. Do you guys mind me showing this on you? Because when you feel it, it's a different thing. It's in your physiology at that point, okay?
I wanna watch
Is
your
the thing in
hair
there?
clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isabella, your hair clip might hurt you.
It might, yeah, it might.
It's not a good feeling when that goes in the back of your
Yeah,
head.
that's
I bet, yeah, it happens to me all the time. Okay, let's do a breath. Good. Okay, we're gonna go back slowly. Some people throw themselves back, it's very interesting. Why don't we just slouch just a little bit, just lick all that. There we go, come on back. Let your head fall. Good. Good. So, if you noticed, did you see me? I had to kick my hand out a little
Yeah.
bit? Because just the way your spine is made, it's inside your scapula. Probably the same intention as, we have people that squeeze me so hard because probably my scapula go back. So with just me, that's what I just did was kick out just a little bit. I was just like this. I'm not gonna jam into my own hand. Actually, I have to protect my hand too, okay? Does that feel at ease, feel comfortable? Okay, let's switch. Come on over.
Is that not painful for your hand?
No,
Probably because you're not dropping the way that we're taught to drop.
I'm not jamming into my own hand. I'm doing it at ease. Did it feel comfortable? It didn't feel like a big ball in your back, did it? Okay,
Yeah,
let's
one
just
big
sit
difference,
normal.
I felt like you went down
I'm just
and
gonna get
it
under your
wasn't
skin
like
here.
pushed in down. You go down
There.
and then if it hasn't gone, just boop.
And with the breath, sometimes I just want to feel. Just breathe, deep breath. And this segment's not budging, okay? It's not moving with our breath. I just want you to just drop your chin. There we go, let's go back. Good, like that. Let your head fall. Perfect.
Nice.
That's the gentlest.
Wow, I feel like that's needed to move for so long.
And move properly. So that was just, I could feel the
Yeah,
release with you
yeah.
actually with that one. So can you feel the difference in that?
Oh, yeah.
Feel the nuances?
And it was just, I mean, that specific,
Mm-hmm.
that one spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all
Because you wouldn't think that it's so specific, but when you feel it, it's so specific.
It's very
Yeah.
specific, exactly. And you know, you hit on something very important. We don't want a gross manipulation.
Right.
We want a specific adjustment.
Definitely.
So Gabriel has, you could feel, he's got muscle back here. If I was forceful, what are the muscles gonna do? Say, hey, leave me alone. I don't want that, right? Okay, let's take a breath together. And you see how I'm engaged here, actually? I'm with him, we're a team right now. And I'm just getting that spot. Okay, let's go back. Right there, and then already moved. Let your head fall. Perfect.
One solid
I
little.
can't believe how specific it is. Like, just looking at it, you wouldn't think that it was.
Now, we'll rewatch that on the video actually. With Gabriel, you could see how I was just vectoring his
Yeah.
energy with his arms, so I'm focusing really that energy of right into that vertebra. Did you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good job.
And I can tell a difference in breathing.
Let's take a breath together.
Oh, oh.
Okay, we're gonna come back. Kick my hand out a little, you see that? Now he's big, I can't really reach around him. Oh, we got it perfectly. Do you feel that? Now let's take a breath again. Take a breath. Do you see how much deeper your inspiration was after that too? Good job. Let's see if we have that one again. Not really. Right there. Okay. Now, I'm gonna hold you like this, okay? And we're gonna come back together. Come on back. And now, see he's rounded out right here? Right there. One more. There we go. I mean, all those are adjustments for me. What's your feedback on that?
Just a slight little modification that you did towards the end. Like you had it and you said one more and you brought me back just a little bit more extension to get underneath.
Yeah.
Which I
Was that comfortable for you?
definitely did.
I was really modifying your body, yeah, myself, and just feeling that moment where we're clunk right into place. Oh, cool, thanks for that feedback, I appreciate that.
So what would you do, like I have a shoulder injury, and I didn't feel like anything was gonna go wrong with that, but I know most people, when they tighten it up, I get a lot of pain. And even that one, that it didn't have much tension to it, my shoulder like would bother me a little bit from
Yeah.
it. So how do you modify it for somebody who has a shoulder issue?
I would probably maybe just bring the arm down instead of bringing it up this way, okay? Because you have a lot of muscles through there too, so it's a little tense for you. Might be hard for you to bring them up. And what I really say is really just let it just fall where your arm wants to naturally fall.
Okay, and I think I put my arms where they normally
You were
put it,
forcing
so I
them
was
up?
forcing it up.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
some of that. And I kind of felt that tension with you too, now that you say that. It might have been in my head a little bit, and maybe just honoring that a little bit more with you.
Would you not do this adjustment on certain people? Like if they're too big or too small or?
I adjusted a little boy who's had this cough. This cough has been going around. I think he's 6 years old, and I did an anterior on him the other day, and his mom said he stopped coughing. The whole family's still coughing, and my kids are still coughing. I did an anterior on my son. He's 3 years old, and because in my mind, I sometimes get that therapist mode. That's the cure-all, and it's not. Okay. But I did that anterior on this 5 or 6 year old he is, and his cough went away. It wasn't to treat his cough. I don't like the word treatment. I do not like the word manipulation. D.D. Palmer there's a I don't know how many pages he goes on about in 1910 when he's reading a doctor's report about something and it says the word treatment. Treatment is for the sickness. We care for the person. So if we're treating someone, we're focusing on their sickness. We're trying to treat sickness. A chiropractor works with the person so their body can heal itself. How many times do I say that in a day when we're doing the exams? I can't cure you. I can't make your back pain go away. Nobody can. If you've taken any opiates in your life, you realize back pain is still there when they take it. They're just high and they don't care. I have taken them for pain. I have. I went to a chiropractor. I was in a terrible accident. I told you the story when I was in college, but I was in another one. And when I got into an auto accident I was cutting across a lane of traffic and they were coming at me at 55, 60 miles an hour, hit the back end of my car, and it spun on the front wheels, I think 2 spins around, okay? I was in a lot of pain from that. It was a terrible thing. I wasn't a chiropractor yet. And I was taking Percocets and all these things. I was taking muscle relaxers, and they didn't do anything for me. I got itchy from them. It was like a heroin thing. It was horrible. I hated them. I absolutely hated them. So I stopped taking them. The muscle relaxers just knocked me out. Then I realized, well, if my muscles are spasming, and this was just logic. I wasn't a chiropractor yet. My muscles are spasming. Aren't they probably holding something together? Why would I take something that's going to break that natural response to hold things in place? It didn't make sense to me then. I don't know why they still do it. But when your body gets stronger, your body will heal itself. That's what we do. We release the interference. And then I really have to step away. I am a chiropractor. I am not the healer. The healer is within you. The healer within is the one that we honor. And that's the same healer that created the cosmos, right? And this is what I have right here. This is my little sign. Keep it simple, sweetheart. Chiropractic is pure and simple. Dr. Haig John moves the bone and God does the healing. Everything you need is in you right now. We don't need, of course we need nutrients, right? But all the stuff we need to heal, function, create new life, all those things are in us at every single moment. When we honor those things and allow it to happen, changes happen in people that are absolutely amazing. Very often I have people all the time, spine surgery on top of spine surgery, another spine surgery. I've had people with, they have, it's a machine that dumps like morphine or whatever it is right through the dura into the spinal cord or whatever it is. I don't really know.
That's insane.
Medtronics makes it, I'll tell you that. I'm not going to advertise that company, but it's one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. And, they're in horrible, crippling pain because of the surgeries. None of them have been helped by it. And I've done, similar to actually Adam's adjustment, this adjustment sticks in my mind so much. It's probably one of the only movable segments on this guy's body. I did an anterior, and his whole body just went, turned to jello, started crying, and was just released this stuff that he'd been holding on to his whole life. I didn't see him much after that, you realize, because in a moment he got the glimpse of what it is to be alive again. And maybe he got fear from it. He was scared after that. Where am I? What am I going to do? What's going to happen to the rest of my life? I've got titanium plates and screws through my nearly your entire system. Now, I've had a lot of people right now, I don't know about every other county. It seems like where I live is like the spine surgery capital of the world. They're everywhere. And then people will say, you can't touch me because I've got surgeries. I'm like, you need to be in here no matter what. You can specialize in that. I'm not saying specialize in that. You're not allowed to say that in Florida. You'll learn that when you take laws and rules. But, when you see enough of them, you know how to adjust. I've adjusted single vertebra in between, three fused segments above and below. And adjusting that vertebra is going to save that vertebra from surgery because all that pressure. When there's titanium in there, I guarantee you that is the strongest system in that body. It's titanium. And sometimes you adjust 3 segments at once because you're moving those fused segments. And it's just a light adjustment, very honoring, and sometimes it will change the life of someone. We had a woman, she just started, I think C5 to 7, am I right, that are fused because of arm pain for decades. She had it done in 2006. She rides trikes with her brother, and she has not felt her arm, right? You're riding in the wind, you can't even feel your arm, right? And those are the areas that in her brachial plexus that are fused. She just said, what'd she say?
She said, I'm finally having a feeling in my arm. Which was crazy is that she almost was like concerned about it. She's like, yeah, I'm starting to feel my arm again. Is that normal?
Is that normal? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's life.
I mean, how wild was that? You know? So, even where the fusions are, you can build more life and more function. It's just really amazing. That floored me. I was almost like, when she said, is that normal when you say that? Like, I mean, doesn't that seem normal to you that you're able to feel your arm again? So, you have something magical in your hands, which is you. All that life created by God, created by your innate system, the feeling, the touch, the ability just to give the perfect adjustment in the perfect moment. That's what this training is for. Keeping yourself on track, because, you think about it, some of the greats, the chiropractors don't ever retire. They are still serving chiropractic their whole life. Exactly.
Why would you want to stop?
Why would you want to stop?
That's exactly what I see myself.
If you guys find this on YouTube, I have looked so hard for this video. I think it was Sigafus, and I'm pretty sure it was Herbert Ross Reaver. I think he was talking to him. There's one with Sigafus and Herbert Ross Reaver who was jailed the most for chiropractic, right? There's one, you see them at Life University, he's doing an interview, and it's really good. Matter of fact, Herbert Ross Reaver, not only did he go to jail to practice chiropractic, he wouldn't take a medical exam to get licensed, was a lot of that with those guys. They had to pay like $2 to get out of jail. And he said, hell no, I'm not paying $2. I'm right in what I believe in. Another thing with Herbert Ross Reaver, he was nearly beaten to death with 2x4s for adjusting Latino baseball players. So a group of guys said, you're adjusting Latinos in our town, we're going to kill you. They tried to kill him, and they beat him with 2x4s. As soon as he was able to stand up again and get out of the hospital, and he was in intensive care, he was nearly dead, the first thing he did was call these baseball players and say, get in here and let's adjust you. A lot of people have been through a lot of things just to get us where we are right there, right now in this time. We don't hear about that story. I get chills thinking about it because his wife told the story. Could you imagine what his family went through with all that stuff? And to say, I'm doing it. Sid Williams built, I forget the name of the clinics, but in the black part of town, and was caring for African American people in his clinics. And it was burned down during a DE. And I believe they did it 3 times. I know it happened at least twice. I don't know if it happened 3 times. I can't remember. But he built it right back up again. You're not going to slow me down. These people need care. We're going to take care of these people. The people that have come before us have blazed a trail so powerful that we became complacent about it. Oh yeah, I'll walk this road, right? But if you're going to walk that road, remember how many backs that have gone ahead of you, and servers and people. That's important. When you take the history class, like you said in first or second quarter, we forget about some of this stuff, and you're really getting what the teacher wanted to give you. We miss a lot, and I barely know a third, maybe a small bit of the history.
Or what the teacher knows.
Or what the teacher knows, or read out of the
We
book.
weren't prepared to receive it at that point.
Yeah, you're not prepared for it. That's why, there's Pasquale Sarasoli, that's his picture right there. Why doesn't somebody read that underneath? Can somebody read that, please?
Spiritually, all suffering and sickness is non-existent. It's only because of this current state of negativity and the lack of faith in our own power and existence that we have all this sickness, disease, and suffering. For the spiritually inclined, you losing nothing and gain everything. When there is a spiritual shift in the consciousness of our world, you will see people have a shift towards chiropractic and what we are truly all about.
So we can think of chiropractic in the physical and musculoskeletal problems It's the easy thing to say, okay, this is what we do. We treat this and we manipulate the spine so people have more comfortable, whatever, back pain. I don't know. But when we step a little farther out of that, what are we really looking at? A spiritual intention. D.D. Palmer said chiropractic connects the material with the spiritual. People, I think, misquote very often and say connect man the physical with man the spiritual, but really that means the same thing, the material with the spiritual. It's not a religion, but what we talk about, how this innate system, that is the spirit in you that's digesting your breakfast, that's making you into the living clay that you are at every moment. I can't think about that and do that with educated mind, but innate does it without thought, without question, from the moment of conception, right, up until we transfer into a different energy. So it is doing that on the job all the time. Sometimes there's a lot of programs open, there's a lot happening. The computer, the innate has a lot to deal with. As we adjust them, that system, it's just like shutting down programs on a computer. Okay, I don't have to deal with this right now. Let's get to what needs to get done. When I told a story about my mother's heart disease, she had a lot of other things going on. Horrible sciatic pain, one functioning kidney, all these things. She's stressed. When we adjusted, when I moved down from New York, started adjusting her twice a day. Blood pressure went to 125/75 from 210/175 and fluctuating. It was a time bomb. She would be gone any moment, I guarantee it, unless she was adjusted properly. Her carotid arteries were 99% blocked, went down to about 56 within a month, and she regained her life. Then the body started healing the kidney, and then the sciatic pain started to dissipate a little bit. If I focused only on the pain, God forbid she got out of pain, and I stopped adjusting her, maybe her heart disease wouldn't have changed at all. The kidney, she had one functioning kidney, now she has two. That happened at 86 years old. Can you imagine if I just focus on her, say if her wrist hurt and I adjust her wrist, and then God forbid it goes away and she doesn't get adjusted anywhere anymore, she might not be alive. Thankfully, I had great mentors and people telling me, helping me see actually for myself what chiropractic was really about. This is Pasquale's sign from his office, Self Center. You see Cell F Center. And he got that as a spiritual message, if that's what you should call this group. And Self Center, CELL-F, the center of the cell is the center of the self. The F being the frequencies and vibrations as we go out into the universe. And he has one of these big string arts at the Self Center. I mean, it's bigger than my arm span. And I asked him, can you just tell me what Self Center is again? And he said, this is Self Center. It's the center. And then I thought about this a little bit more. And I found this, I tell you, it was before a couple of DEs ago, and I was just about to do my talk, and it jumped out at me at a store. It was glowing, and I really feel like it was glowing. I felt like it even just jumped into my hand. I'm probably imagining that, I don't know. And I just held it for a moment, and it was like a message from Pasquale that I'm on the right track, okay? Now, often he talks about the Jacob's ladder and going through levels. If we skip steps, we have to go back and do them again. They might be through different lives, past lives, that type of thing. Each one of these steps is a rung at Jacob's ladder until we get to that self-center. All of this is the amount of work and debris we have to get through to get to that next level. That's how I see this. Each bit of work we're moving through until we reach that true self-center, to where we are, where we're meant to be, and whatever that brings, I don't know, but I'm open for it. So that's what I got out of that symbol, and from Pasquale. He didn't tell me that. It's what I have really become enlightened to, really gotten that message. So we've done a little bit of the physical and the adjusting, some spiritual, some philosophy. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on this morning?
I gotta ask you about that anterior. So I've had that pain, almost like a click. Anytime I would take a deep breath, it would
Mhm.
click. I mean, I've had it for
Mhm.
years.
Mhm.
And I would get adjusted thoracic, prone,
Mhm.
and it would feel better for a little while, but then it would just come back.
Mhm.
So why did that work that I don't feel that click anymore, and how do you
Mhm.
know whether to do a prone or an anterior?
So knowing is the big part. Guessing is, practice. I made a post just recently that I am no longer in practice, I'm in service. I've been in service for a very long time, I feel like, in chiropractic, but the first time I've articulated that for myself, and I've just declared it to spirit in the world. It's listening and knowing. If we get out of the clinical understanding of, you have this click here or whatever, it must be that, then that's logic, if and then. If we get outside of this logical thing where kidneys don't regenerate, we learned that in urology. I remember reading that. I loved urology class, actually, because it related to my mother. I know she's had kidney issues her entire life. And when I get out of that logical thing of the kidney can regenerate. If we live in a sick world, we're going to only see sickness. Hers did. And the medical doctors proved it. If I listen to the body and say, and I'm clear, give me your messages. I'm allowing myself to be a clear and hollow vessel. I can get anything that your innate wants to give me. It's going to trust me at a certain level. They do this all the time, and they pick on upper cervical people, and they pick on all sorts of people by x-ray and palpation. They put a BB. Where do you think the atlas is? Or where do you think the subluxation is? And they put a BB and do an x-ray, and they see something different. Your innate is going to tell me something different because of trust compared to Junior or her or him. So it's going to trust me with a certain level of service. I'm going to give you this subluxation I need to adjust because I need to change because I trust your innate. When the adjustment is innate to innate or spirit to spirit, things change completely. When it comes from the head, if and then it's logic, you'll get the same result you always get because it's coming from you instead of or coming from the adjuster. But when your innate's clear to speak to my innate and my innate is doing the adjusting and I'm clear and I'm separated from it, worlds change. If Adam will tell you, I may adjust a couple segments. I'm checking and listening, but there might only be one or two segments that I might adjust, and then you're on your way. And people drive an hour and a half, 2 hours for that. Fly from all over the world for it.
Do you notice the difference between people, like some people, it just, like, I guess would speak to you more than somebody else? Like, I can't really tell, like, or if somebody seems closed off, is it like a less, successful kind of adjustment in your view? If they're closed off, do you notice any difference, or do you hear
no.
something everybody works?
Oh no, everybody is so different. They're going through different things in their lives. And it's usually the guy, well, can you adjust my shoulder? And then, how about do this? And sometimes I just don't feel like getting into a lot of stuff and being in the argument with them. And I just say, okay, and just move on. So I have to move. Because in a way, I'm protecting myself because I don't want to work at a level of convince at the moment. Because if you're trying to convince someone, it's a hard work and it takes me out of service. Sometimes I just say, yes, whatever, okay, I'll move on. But it's usually that person. The other one is, people that are really very heady, that are so in their head. And I'm in the aerospace place here, so I have a lot of engineers. And they're looking for things in logic. If I do this, then I have that, right? So getting through those processes with people isn't verbal usually. It becomes with trust. And hi, good morning. The first few visits with them, you're sort of breaking through that and you're just building that level of trust, and that's usually with everyone. That's why I personally see people more in the beginning. So we're building up that trust and how your body accepts your adjustment. And then their body says, you start getting more innate messages. Okay, we've built up a long-term relationship. We've seen each other quite a bit. Your neural system is refined now. We're communicating in a different way. And someone just asked, it was on one of the posts of, You know, why do you adjust 3 times a day or something with children? I don't even remember what it was. But that to me is the answer. So you're building up that camaraderie with that innate system. So you're building up trust, healing, vitality, and sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it's a very short time. Every human being is different, and I get them out of 3 times a week. Some people want to be in it forever, I tell you. And I do check them for subluxation. If they're clear, they're clear. But we have people that come in 3 times a week just because they want to. And I do have plans that are, for them, that I make special for them.
Well, we can train them though, like to be more receptive to patients. Like I feel.
That's a big
And
one.
you could like through meditation and through just being present, you will.
I just wonder if from their end,
Yeah.
it's like they're closed off.
Oh, yeah.
And you just like, well, I can't work with you, and they have no idea why. It's like,
We do all this work for what Junior was just talking about. We're doing all this work, to be clear, and all the other stuff outside of the office. To be clearer to receive, so our antenna is more refined, so we can really work with those people. It's easy to deal with easy
Yeah.
people, okay? But what you're talking about, that's where the work really comes in, where we're working harder for that. You see what I mean? So that's a really great question, and I appreciate it. Did I answer it?
yeah, I mean,
It's the more you work on yourself, like I said the other day, they don't change until you change. People get better when you get better, because we have to change ourselves, our tone and our vibration. And sometimes you meet people, for me, the person that I'm the most guarded against is like successful businessmen, right? Because they remind me of my father, right? So, that's the first person that I've had to open my heart up and open more to, than because I would shut down a little bit more. I'd have a little bit more fear. Everyone sort of may have that. You guys are probably at ease with everybody, but that's the one person that I've had to work myself on dealing with the most. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So I've had to work on myself more to be clear to listen. People will respond eventually, and sometimes you'll think the person that's the most closed off isn't getting it, and they end up being with you for decades. I've had people that have barely spoken a word to me that have been with me for 10, 12 years. And it's just amazing, So let's shift now. Alexandra's here. Good morning. And we do our readings. We might do a meditation. We're going to read from A Course in Miracles, a synopsis book, and get grounded again. Sound good?
That sounds great.
All right.
Just real quick.